This is a project I do with my Introduction to Studio Art students, and it involves using line, color, and value all at the same time, which we've been learning about. I like to use Zentangle patterns because it's a great way to use lines to create more in-depth patterns. This one is called Featherfall, and it starts with a line, and you create some shapes, and then you just halo those shapes to create the design. This next one I'm using is called Trentwith. It involves making circles, which I like to use stencils for. So you can see that you start with a line, and then that line gets narrower and narrower and narrower until it runs into the wall. It's basically all you're doing, and then you just turn it and do it again. Narrow, and it runs into the wall. So they're just skinny little triangles that start at a line and get narrower and narrower until it runs into the next wall, and then you turn it and do it again. You can do this one with basically any shape, not just circles. This Zentangle pattern is called Organza. It can go any which way throughout your pattern. It's basically a line, and then the other lines go above and below the line, and then you just make little crescent rolls out of these lines. This one's fairly easy to do. I'm going to use an analogous color scheme, and that was a wet-on-wet technique with the watercolor that I like to do just to include some color in the background. I'm creating more intense versions of this blue-violet that I created in the center of these feathers. And then I like to use a little bit of water to spread out that color. And then I'm going to come back and use a dry brush just to pick up some of that color so I get a dark, medium, and light version of that blue-violet color. Using a dry brush and then wiping it off each time on the towel is really helpful. For the Trentwith, I'm going to make these parts of the shape darker and then kind of blend it into a lighter. But you could just as easily make the point of each of these patterns the dark value and then blend it into the light value for the whiter part. Again, I'm using a really concentrated watercolor and then blending it with just some plain water and picking up some of that paint with the towel just to get it lighter and lighter. I'm going to do this with each of them. I'm going to use blue for each of these shapes. Again, I use blue-violet for the feather shape, and then I'll be using a violet for the other Zentangle pattern. I tried to choose some Zentangle patterns that I thought would work really well for making them three-dimensional by using the different values of the watercolor. Not all of them are designed to do that, but this one I think turned out pretty well.